Well, it's 2:30 on the dot, well, here in Vancouver at least. It will be 4:30, 5:30, depending on where you're joining from. So I will get started. Welcome to Canada Revealed's Epic Road Trip webinar. These are curated journeys for the curious traveler, and what exactly that means, I will sure to be getting into. Whoops. There we go. But first of all, I do want to give a bit of an overview of the coming webinar. Of course, first and foremost, welcome and thanks for joining us live if you are joining live, and welcome if you're watching the recording. So we're going to cover a few topics today. We're going to start with a little bit about who and what is Canada Revealed, a little bit of background behind the company as well as myself, and then get into the goods of what are curated road trips. We have some feature sample itineraries today that I'm really excited about sharing with you. We've got some West Coast treasures to be had, and then we go all the way over to the other side of our beautiful country, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, Quebec, and of course, rugged and beautiful Newfoundland. We'll talk a little bit about our process here at Canada Revealed, as well as tell you all about the webinar promo. I will, for right now, actually just pop that information into the chat just so that it's there and that you have it. But we'll get into the details of it later on. And of course, we'll end with a Q&A for anyone who has questions, and of course put them in the chat anytime throughout the webinar, but we will get to them at the end. All right, I'm gonna start with myself here just a little bit, just so that you know who is behind Canada Revealed. So this is yours truly. I have been professionally planning extraordinary and custom vacations for people to Canada specifically for over 15 years. I have a huge passion and love for this beautiful country of ours. Personally, I am a wildlife enthusiast. I am a hobby wildlife photographer as well. I'm completely food and wine obsessed, and you will see that in a lot of the sample itineraries that I put forward. And of course, having traveled all over this country, I love to tell and share the stories that came with those travels. I created Canada Revealed a couple of years ago to help people experience the real Canada. And what I mean by that is, you know, everybody knows about the Canadian Rockies, Banff, Lake Louise, Niagara Falls on the other side of the country, and a few other hot spots. And they definitely have earned their fame. However, there's so much more to this country of ours. And my mission is to share all of those hidden gems, locations that you may not read about or hear about off the top of your head, or know about off the top of your head. And so that is what my mission is to really showcase this gorgeous country of ours. Now, we are all about rugged luxury as well. And for me, that kind of defines the essence of Canada. Canada certainly has the conventional luxury. We've got the opulent hotels in all of our major cities, but you can get that anywhere, really. What Canada is about is the big, wild outdoors, and the amazing lodges and experiences to be had there. Which come with a little bit of rugged, with a side of rugged, but that doesn't mean that you have to do without your creature comforts. So that's what Canada Revealed is all about. Now, I do really like to share this video as well, just because it really captures what I think, not just the company, but what our country is about. So I hope you enjoy it. Well, there you go. I always have to smile a little bit when I see that video, and I've watched it many, many times, and it still puts a smile on my face every single time. So yeah, so that's just a snippet, the tip of the iceberg, so to speak, of what Canada has to offer. And as a boutique travel company, we really try to get you out and in there. We handcraft every single itinerary, either from the samples that we have on our website or completely from scratch. The most important part about that is that we really want to reflect your passions. We want to make sure that the trip is exactly right for you. We focus on exclusive experiences, specifically remote lodges, wildlife, epic road trips, of course, and culinary escapes, urban escapes as well. So, really, anything that is Canada, we will do. And we really try to ensure that it's not mass market. You're not getting something off the shelf that you have to take or leave as is. We just want it to be 100% you. All right. Excuse me. Let's get into today's topic. Why a curated road trip? Well, road trips, I think, when we think about road trips, we just kind of think about getting into the car, hitting the road, maybe back in the day with the map, today with Google Maps open, and just kind of seeing where the road takes us and where the wind blows us. We try to keep a lot of that freedom and spontaneity and that sense of discovery, but we put a little bit of planning and curation behind it, which means we do pre-book your accommodations. They're usually charming, often upscale, and we handpick experiences that reflect you. And the reason for that is unplanned road trips can have a lot of surprises, like you get somewhere and everything is sold out because you didn't know about that festival or that event happening. You have your heart set on doing a lobster boil cruise, and then you get there and it's all sold out or it's done for the season. So a little bit of planning is good without taking away from that sense of, discovery and spontaneity. And so, what sets ours apart? Well, as I've mentioned before, I've been doing this for a long time. My team is also extremely well versed in the ins and outs and hidden gems of Canada. So we really try to take you beyond the obvious. So think islands that you can only reach by ferry. Sometimes those schedules are a little bit difficult to figure out on your own. Coastal trails that really only locals know, or that retired guide who is just doing this for fun that we have a relationship with, and he's going to show you all his little favorite secret coves, etc. We customize everything to your interest, and I cannot stress this enough. Because nobody travels the same, nobody is the same, everybody's different, everybody has different interests. And I have to say, I've never sold a trip as is. We have so many sample itineraries on our website, and I've never sold one that is just, that somebody just took off the website just like that. Everybody wants to bring a little bit of themselves into their itineraries. Pace is also something that's really important. Some people want to see as much as they possibly can in the time that they have. Um, and others, they just want to take their time. They don't want to move every day. They just, want to do a little bit more of a deep dive. So pace is really important as well when it comes to personal preferences. And of course, I would also say our road trips are fantastic because we handle all of the logistics. We'll do all of the planning, all of the research if necessary for you. You don't have to spend hours on blogs and reading reviews, etc. We'll do all of that for you while you still kind of keep that freedom to explore along the way and take that little detour. Now, our first featured trip is our West Coast treasures and island hopping, one of my personal favorites. And I do also have a little video to go with that, just to get whet your appetite, so to speak. I hope that gave you a little bit of an impression of what our beautiful West Coast looks, feels, and sounds like. Of course, I'm a bit biased. We are located in Vancouver, and I have a huge love affair with beautiful British Columbia, and I've traveled it extensively. But for this feature trip right here, just to give you an idea, because I think it's also difficult to imagine what a road trip like this might look like if you haven't been to the destination. So maps I find always help. So Vancouver, obviously right here, this is the starting and ending point of this. Heading up to Whistler, which is actually quite a world-renowned resort, ski resort, and gorgeous during the summer, lots of hiking and absolutely amazing restaurants. And then there's a lot of ferry travel here as well. So if people are familiar with Whistler, I bet they're not quite as familiar with the Sunshine Coast, which is just so, so gorgeous. Some of those rainforest hiking shots that you just saw in the video are just right here on the Sunshine Coast. So again, lots of local flavor, lots of local culture. And then over to beautiful Vancouver Island, over to the rugged West Coast and to Fino. If you saw those people cycling on the beach, that is Long Beach and Tofino. It's known for its absolutely gorgeous and wild beaches. And then circling back via Victoria to take in a little bit of culture from our capital. Charming Gulf Islands, again, a region in British Columbia that people don't really know about. We've got these amazing, cute islands with this kind of uh, bohemian vibe, I guess would be a great way to describe them. Lots of farmers markets, artisans, amazing restaurants, and then ultimately back to Vancouver. So just to give you an idea here of the logistics and just some picture impressions of, again, beautiful British Columbia. So these are some of the highlights: secluded islands and hidden gems. Wildlife, of course, we've got wildlife galore, bears, whales, you name it, wolves, eagles. You'll just see them left, right, and center if you come during season. Some great outdoor activities, kayaks, hiking, beach combing, and of course, our beautiful temperate rainforests that are so unique in the world, gorgeous ocean views, and we really try to send you to the places where you have zero crowds. All right, on over to Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island on Canada's Atlantic East Coast. Video to go with that as well. Wow, just a few seconds, and I just feel immersed into the East Coast. I think that video really kind of encapsulates, again, the sounds and the sights of beautiful Nova Scotia and the Atlantic provinces. So, the feature trip that we have on our website, and again, can be completely customized to your um, trip length that you need, starts and ends in Halifax and really kind of takes you all around. So this is actually not just Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island. Um, it also includes quite a bit of New Brunswick as well. Little insider tip, this is the Bay of Fundy right here, where you have those huge reversing tides. You may have heard about that. Little insider tip is that they are way more impressive over from the New Brunswick side than they are from the Nova Scotia side. That's also where those famous flower pots are, where you can do kayaking trips. You can walk on the ocean floor when the tide is out. So really just it's a fantastic trip. And what I really love about this one specifically is that we do include historic upscale inns and B&Bs along the way. So you really get that sense of place, that warm welcome that the East Coast is known for. And then, of course, Prince Edward Island. Who hasn't heard of Anne of Green Gables? There's certainly sights to be seen there that are related to that all-time favorite book. But also, what Prince Edward Island is known for is actually some of their amazing beaches and warm waters. You would not believe it how feasible it is to just go swimming in the ocean in summer there. It really feels a bit a world apart. And then, of course, famous Cape Breton, very rugged, very gorgeous. You've got very impressive cliffs here. It's actually not on the map, but we have 3 nights here so that you can drive all around the famous Cabot Trail right here. And that can be done in a day. You can stop for little hikes. We actually include insider tips on where to stop and what kind of hikes there are for which ability levels, etc., in our documentation package, so that again, you have that freedom to stop and go see as much as you want and however long you want without having to take a group or a guide into consideration and feel rushed at times, perhaps. Now, of course, the Maritimes are, well, I should actually say all of Canada is known for its food, but the Maritimes specifically for their seafood. I mean, lobster goes hand in hand with Nova Scotia. I've had the best scallops that I've ever had in Digby, just right on the Bay of Fundy. It's just absolutely glorious, the seafood that you get there. And when my partner Paul and I went on a little road trip of our own there, I was always out to find the best lobster roll, and we tasted seafood chowder wherever we could to find our own favorite. So it was just kind of a little bit of a game that we played there. Yeah, so lobster is definitely huge here. So if you're a seafood aficionado, this is definitely a destination for you. The Cabot Trail I just touched on, that's extremely iconic and should definitely be done while you're there. And of course, lighthouses, historic seaside inns with that charm and warm welcome that I mentioned earlier. Now we move over just a little bit to the west to our belle province, so to speak, our French and Francophone province, first and foremost, Quebec, which is so influenced, of course, by French culture. And here again, a little video to give you a taster. Okay, I promise you that none of that footage was from France. And I have to say, every single time I am in Quebec, in the cities, Quebec City, Montreal, and the countryside, I have to remind myself that I am still in Canada. It's really amazing how European influence it is, not just in terms of the language, but also just the culture, the joie de vivre, the food, the wine. It's very, very reminiscent of Europe, but without the long flight there. So I would say if people are interested in European heritage culture, um, but of course with a Canadian twist to it, because Quebecois French is different from Parisian French, and the culture that has evolved over the centuries, of course, distinct and yet still very reminiscent. I would say that this is a great destination for Francophiles, so to speak. Now, of course, we've got Quebec City and Montreal. Everybody knows those two cities. We've got those included. We've got those covered in this itinerary. But the Eastern Townships, or the Saguenay Fjord right up here, where you can actually see beluga whales in the summer. Really? I mean, that's just something that boggles people's mind. The Route des Saveurs, which is the flavor trail, which is just right here in the Charlevoix region. I think on my road trip that I did a few years ago, I must have gained, I don't know, somewhere between 5 and 10 pounds. I won't lie. And no regrets. I literally ate my way through this province. The eastern townships right down here also just have fascinating history, as you can see, very close also to the US border. So there's a lot of influence there. It's definitely a lot more Anglophone than the rest of the province because of that history and that influence. But think small towns, antique shops, and just gorgeous, gorgeous countryside. This is also a fantastic trip to do during the fall. The harvests are coming in. You've got absolutely gorgeous, fall foliage. So I really, really recommend this trip in the fall, especially after Labor Day. You don't have the crowds anymore. Kids are back in school, so you have less people on the road. And the weather is still absolutely gorgeous at that time of year. So yes, as I've kind of already mentioned, the big French influence here, a huge focus on wine, cheese, and cider is cider country. Everything seems a little bit more elegant in Quebec. I've found it's a little bit more refined than the rest of Canada, a little bit less rugged, a little bit more luxury. Yeah, and so this in the middle right here you see is the famous Chateau Frontenac, which is now a Fairmont property. It is actually the oldest former CP Rail hotel that was built for CP Rail that united Canada. And it's gone through major renovations, but also still keeps that old world charm. So it's definitely a treat staying there. Um, yeah, and I think I'm just going to move on because I do want to stay within our allotted time here. We're going to head back east all the way east to the rugged shores of Newfoundland. Now, Newfoundland is going to be the easternmost province of Canada. It is an island, and it is also a world apart from the rest of Canada, I find in its own way. And here's just a little bit again of a video. Now that was a very short video, and it really again just touches the tip of the iceberg of what Newfoundland is about. And actually, Newfoundland is very much about icebergs. So one of the main draws, especially, and here is another insider tip, is Iceberg Alley. So we've got the Arctic all the way up here, and during May, June, and sometimes going into early July, you'll have massive icebergs just drifting right down here along the coast, and you can easily see them just from land. You can even have drinks with iceberg ice in them. So there's all kinds of, little fun stuff to be had like that. But yeah, so icebergs are definitely a huge draw for people to go to Newfoundland, but it's really Newfoundland is about the people. I think I already mentioned that the Atlantic provinces offer a warm welcome. We'll take that up a notch for Newfoundland. It is, they are just known for their hospitality, their warmth, their friendliness, especially towards visitors. If you remember 9/11, the town of Gander was the one that actually took in all of those stranded people, all those flights that had to be rerouted because of 9/11. and the people of Gander, the small community, they took in the passengers. They fed them, they clothed them, they, just offered up their homes. And that is really, that's exemplary of what you can expect in Newfoundland in terms of a welcome. Now, our feature trip here starts in St. John's and ends in Deer Lake. So it's one of the ones that are a one-way trip, just because the island is actually a lot bigger than it looks like. So this is already a 12-night, 13-day trip. You can add on certain locations to this base itinerary that would make it even longer. But as you can see, you don't actually spend a whole lot of time in each place, but you just need the time in order to explore and also cover the distances. So we start in St. John's. Jelly Bean Row is one of those famous streets in St. John's with all those colorful maritime houses. There's Kitty Vidi Brewery, where you can just, really kind of hang out. It's a village, actually. It's not just a brewery, but it's actually a village that you can hang out in and try some local craft beers. And basically, all of Newfoundland is just about rugged coasts, really delicious food. I know St. John's is kind of a little bit off the map, but restaurants there are actually rated the top in Canada, and that says a lot because Canada has a lot of great restaurants, but a lot of them are actually in St. John's year over year. So, there's just so much bounty in terms of seafood and also game, moose. Try some bottled moose. That was one of my favorites. Never thought I would like that, but it was absolutely delicious. Um, yeah, and this right here is great for iceberg viewing, as I said before, Twilling Gate, Trinity. There's also some really cool dinner theaters, or just theaters in general that you can visit. Great hiking. So again, we give you all these insider tips in our documentation package of where to stop, where to hike, where are the best viewpoints, etc. Gross Moor National Park has some really unique features. I think it is one of the oldest places on Earth, where the Earth's mantle is actually close to the surface. I believe. I'll have to actually double check on that one. But it has some really great and unique geological features, very deep fjords, and just absolutely gorgeous vistas. Now, if you head up to St. Anthony's, and this is, by the way, pronounced Harpoon Island, it actually rhymes with harpoon. This is where the Vikings first settled over 1,000 years ago, well prior to Christopher Columbus discovering the New World. So there's still that site right here that people can visit and learn a little bit about Viking history. And head over to Harpoon Island again for some great iceberg viewing. Fogo Island right here has one of the most prominent, luxurious wilderness inns in the world. It is absolutely stunning, and I'll show you a picture of that in just a moment. It is also social enterprise. So whoever stays at Fogo Island Inn knows that their money is actually being reinvested back into the community for community development, etc. And it's just such a unique place to stay. So I can highly recommend it. So right up here, this is Fogo Island Inn. And if you want to learn a little bit more, I can definitely give you some more information. But yeah, this is just gorgeous. And this is not an atypical site right here. Huge iceberg that just kind of drifts by a community right there. And this is one of the most typical vistas from a boat looking at a Newfoundland outport community. So you've got that charm, you've got lots of live local music, of course, very inspired by Scotland. And you've got, yeah, as I said, remote inns perched over the sea, icebergs, puffins, but it's also a great, great place to go and see whales, humpback whales specifically. So I've mentioned this before, why Canada Revealed. I hope I've demonstrated that we do have a lot of insider knowledge and expertise. Your planning is absolutely stress-free. All it takes is really a phone call. We discuss what's important to you. We figure out what does your ideal trip look like. We'll do all the heavy lifting. We also have really amazing relationships with our partners all across the country. And so you can get exclusive access and perks that you can't get anywhere else. And this is something that I myself pride myself on is our high level service. We want you coming back from your trip, not just raving about your trip, but also about your interactions with us. So quick responses, quick resolutions, um, very, very detailed documentation package, great customer service along the way. If you need anything, you have questions, we're here from start to finish. So if you'd like your own curated road trip, and this, by the way, is what you can expect in Quebec. This is what I was referring to earlier. So if you'd like your own curated road trip, the trip consultation is link is in the chat. So simply click it. We'll take the time to explore what you value and we'll create something extraordinary. So as a thank you for joining us on this webinar today, we do have an exclusive bonus, an exclusive bonus or promo. If you book your trip consultation by noon tomorrow, and that's Friday, April 25th, for any time in the next week, you get a free night and a VIP experience in the Canadian starting city. So you can access the link, access the booking page via the link, or you can just scan this QR code right here. There is a little bit of fine print right here, so be sure to read through it for the promo. But I do hope that this webinar inspired you to plan your own epic road trip. Now, I know we're a little bit over time here, but I think there's always time for questions. So if you have any questions, please pop them in the chat. Otherwise, I will actually just go over a couple of FAQs that I usually get. Can I combine regions into one epic trip? Absolutely, of course. We often have people combining adjacent provinces. So Newfoundland and the Maritime provinces, for example. We might have people combining Quebec and Ontario on a road trip. So yeah, we can definitely build a trip, combine everything that you want to see in that trip. If you have the time, absolutely, not a problem. How much driving is there per day? Well, again, it depends on the pace that you want, but typically we try to ensure that you're not driving too far of a distance each day, because even though you do want, you might want to stop and take in the sights along the way, where the journey is a little bit more of the destination, but you also do have a destination to get to. So we do try to keep the driving distances manageable so that you do have that time to get out of the car, take breaks, take in the views, take some pictures, do a little hike. But again, it depends on how much time somebody has and how much ground they want to cover. So again, it's up to you. Are these guided trips? No, they are not. So this is actually a question that I get often. Canada Revealed is all about what I like to call organized independent travel. So that means, well, as I said, we take care of all of the logistics. They're pre-arranged, but you are on the road on your own, but with our guidance and with our support as well in the background. Sometimes we hear from people daily because they've got questions or, just want to share a photo or something, and we're always there. But sometimes we don't hear from people throughout the entire trip, and that's okay. And we also don't want to intrude. That is their vacation time. So we'll check in with them after they finish their trip. Um, but um, but yeah, this is something that is self-guided, but with our organization in the background. Are there any other questions? I don't see any more in the chat right now, but I'll give it a moment here. All right, I will leave it at that then and say a big, big thank you for joining us today. And if you do have any other questions, thank you, Christy. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out. We're here to help. So thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.